again. Welcome to Coding with Drew. In this section, we're going to make our first HTML document. But first, before we do, we need to learn how to find references to the language that we're learning. For HTML, I recommend opening up your browser and typing MDN. The first result here is from developer.mozilla.org. This is a web page from Mozilla, the same creators of the Mozilla Firefox browser. And we're going to click References, HTML. This provides in-depth knowledge about each one of the tags that you might use. For the most part, you're not going to use all of these. You're going to use a small section of these, and the rest you will need to know how to reference them. I can't possibly do a video that will cover every one of them. So you need to know on edge cases, I'd like to do this thing. In order to know that you can do the thing, you need to know that it exists. And so I would recommend that you, at the very least, read through this first page in this document. It's going to provide you a lot of information about HTML and all the various tags that you can use. Let's go ahead and transition from the browser over to our Visual Studio Code. In Visual Studio Code, you have already created a cheat sheet.markdown. We're going to reproduce this same preview that you made in Markdown with markup, specifically HTML. The way we're going to go about this is closing all these tabs, and then we're going to click Markup here in the directories. If you don't have this open, you can just go back to Code, File, and Open, and you'll just open the home directory or /dev, which we created as our development environment. Click Markup here, and then click New File. And we're going to call this file Example HTML, and then we're going to press Return. As before, you can see that it already recognized that this is an HTML document because we gave it the HTML extension name, and it's going to use Prettier to format our document. Now, if you recall, the way to format a document is with Option-Shift-F, and this will open up your configure options. So we're going to use Prettier instead of the built-in. Now, we need to add a new extension for our purposes here, and we're going to click Extensions, and we're going to type in Live Server. And we're going to add this first one here, the purple thing. Click Install. What you'll see that it just did, let's close that, is it added a Go Live button. So if you click Go Live, it's going to open your browser to our document that's live. And right now it's called example.html with this extremely long domain. Up here in our address this is actually a live server domain or IP, and with a port number. IPs are four different digits separated by dots, and then a colon specifies the port that it's open on. And then this is the directory that it's located at. Right now, it's just a blank document, so there's nothing in there. And you can see that it's a blank document because there's nothing in our Visual Studio Code. All right, the next thing we're going to do is in our editor, we're going to type in HTML. Now, a drop-down for auto-completion will appear. And instead of selecting the first one, we're going to select HTML5. We're always going to use HTML5. Inside HTML5 document, you can see that it specifies the document type right here. And then it opens an HTML tag. Inside of it, an attribute, and it says lang equals in English language. And if you hover over it, you can see what it does. It says helps define the language of an element, the language that non-editable elements are in, or the language that editable elements should be written in by the user. This attribute is not necessary, but helpful. Same thing with everything inside of head. So head is everything right here. You can see that head is opened with a head tag, and a tag is always opened with a less than and closed with a greater than. So everything in between the less than and greater than signs is the tag. And then we close that tag with a slash head, or in this case, slash body, or in the full HTML document, HTML slash HTML. Inside of head is something called meta, and meta is data that your browser will use. And you can see that there are attributes associated with each type of meta. So there's multiple meta types, and you're going to specify these, and you can get a lot of this data or information that you would want to use by going to the MDM documentation. For now, we're going to leave it as is. Title specifies the title of your document. So we're going to go ahead and edit that and change it to our name. Obviously, your name's not Drew Carricker. Press Command Option S or Alt Start S if you're using a Windows keyboard. You'll see that your live server has now updated. And the document's name, if you refresh, is called Drew Carricker. We can also come down here and type in things. So hello world. I don't know why hello world is the first thing everybody writes on a new language, but we're going to do it. So we save it again. And then if we go to our browser, you can see hello world is pasted in there. Now, this hello world is not HTML. It's not been formatted properly, but it still displays because it's inside of your body. We want to use proper HTML. And the way you do this is fairly simple. We're going to use the same premise that we went with here and create an HTML cheat sheet in our example.html. So the first thing we did was we created 5 headers. So let's do that now. The way we do this is less than, and we say H1. This is an H1. And you can see that I already auto closed my tag. And if you just saw me move from here to there, I used Command and right on the D-pad. Now, I can do the next tag, which I can just type H2. And you can see that I didn't use the opening less than or greater than, because what I was intending on doing is using this autocomplete. Inside the auto-completed H2, we're going to write this is an H2. And then it has a closing tag, the slash H2. And do the same thing for H3 through H5. I want to show you a shortcut on how to make your life a little bit easier. So we can go down here and highlight what we want to copy and press Option, Shift, and down. So now that we have all of these header types, we can just come in here and edit the individual pieces and make our lives easier. This is H4, got a little results there. H5, H5. Now you have 5 headers. So we're going to save, and then we're going to open our browser back up. And now you can see that we created the exact same thing that we did in our cheat sheet, which we can preview here. Now note that it looks slightly different, and that's because Markdown already has some formatting or CSS built into it. We're not worried about the exact look and feel just yet because we haven't gotten to CSS. But for now, and for our purposes, this is exactly what we wanted. Now, on our Markdown, the next thing we have is a paragraph. So let's do a paragraph. Proper HTML formatting is you would have a tag and then anything nested inside of it. So everything inside of the body tags will be on a new level. So you'll tab in. So we'll do a paragraph. And the way you do a paragraph is with a P. As you can see, it auto completes. It gives me a list of different tags that I could potentially use on an HTML document. I'm going to use P. And since I typed in P, I can just press tab and it'll auto-complete. So I'm going to say this is a paragraph. And we're going to save. Now we're going to open it up in Safari. So we started with HTML. The next step, we're going to learn how to add images and links. See there,